Hello, classroom and specialty teachers. This is a quick reminder about how to utilize our data collection spreadsheets for our students with IEPs. We're going to start by an email that you should have received from someone from the special education team. So go ahead and log on to your email. You'll see an email that will say your last name and IEP details. In this folder, there's going to be all kinds of information, including a integrity checklist, data sheets, snapshot, visual schedules, and throughout the year, we will continue to add information relevant to the students that you'll be serving in your classrooms. So you'll go ahead and open up that folder. And once that folder opens up, there is going to be a student's name, and then it will say IEP details. So if you have several students, there should be a folder for each student. But this one just says example. So we're going to go ahead and click on that, and you'll see I've linked some examples of things that may be in this folder. Integrity checklist, as I mentioned, IEP snapshot, behavior data, and here's an example schedule, which hopefully you've been helping coordinate with your teachers to work on for each student. We're going to go ahead and click on the data sheet since that's our focus for today's video. Remember, this year, there are two different ways that we will be collecting data. One of the sheets will be for in-person data collection, and the other will be for online data collection. So down at the bottom of the screen here, I'm going to go ahead and move myself over here so you can actually see what I'm talking about. But it says online, and then FD stands for the rating scale that the student is using, which is following directions, and then in-person FD for following directions. Since we're starting in the online modality, just as a reminder, the rating scale is up at the top here for you. So during a synchronous learning session, you are going to be rating that student on three different time frames: the preview of the lesson, the meat of the lesson, and then the conclusion. Up here at the top, you'll see I've already put in general subject areas that might be included. I did have a teacher say, hey, I'm having them join for morning meeting, and then I'm having a small group later in the day. Where do I include that? Well, all of these are changeable, and it just depends on how many areas you need. If you want to leave math, leave it right there. If you need to add another one, you can go ahead and insert a column, and I just did a right click, insert column, and then here I'm going to label this one morning meeting. I'll make sure that that text wraps around. Oops, here it comes. So it looks nice and neat. And if it's too large of a font and you want it to look neater than that, you can change the font down to a smaller size as well. But then this way, you'll have an area where you can collect your morning meeting scores. You can do the same thing if you have a small group time or a checkout, or if you know you're never going to be meeting synchronously for writing, go ahead and change that title to whatever you need it to be, so then it will calculate for that small group time. And you're not going to need to worry about the scores that populate over to the right-hand side. That is just for the special education teachers, and they will be entering those into the IEPs. It is important to know how your students are doing. So if they're only following directions 50% of the time, you want to look back at your scores and figure out why, but that's a conversation that you'll have with the special education teacher. So for today, we're focusing on data entry. So say they did great during the preview, they were compliant and academically engaged when given prompts. During the meat of the lesson, oops, they got a little distracted, and then at the end of the lesson, they were still distracted. It would be 3, 2, 2, 1. If then they log on again synchronously with you for math, and they're there at the beginning, but their computer dies, you can put it in there, but then just leave the other two blank. It will still calculate appropriately over to the other side. Just worry about the times that you see them synchronously. And remember, I should have done this first, but your date is always going to be over here to the left-hand side. So this would have been our first day of school, but you will do a separate section of these for each day. So each day you're going to log your synchronous sessions. That's how we'll do it online for now. If we do go to our in-person modality, the spreadsheet looks very similar. It's actually just a little bit more simplistic. The date will be over here to the side. Let's hope that we go back soon. So let's say the beginning of October. Put the date right there, and then you'll just do the same thing. If you see them from 8:30 to 9, remember we're not doing subject areas in person, we're doing time chunks. So you would put a 3 because they were compliant and academically engaged. And then you see them again from 9 to 9:30, but they did great. That would be a 4. Now you can see the colors aren't showing up here as they were on the previous spreadsheet. That's just a conditional formatting issue. And if that's something that bothers you, just talk to your special education teacher or to myself, Jessamy McKinney, and we can help you get that fixed up. Also, if you find that you're bothered that it just says the time and you really want this to say MM for morning meeting, you may adjust these columns. We want this to be user-friendly and something that's going to help not only you, but the EAs who you work with or any other teachers that may be coming in and out of your classroom helping to collect data for students. But please also remember that this data is confidential and not to be shared with anyone who does not work particularly with that student. If it is something that you are asked to share with somebody else, please make sure that you contact your special education teacher and ask them if it's appropriate to share. Even if it's the parent, we will reach out to the parents and make sure that we have a plan set up for how to communicate information about their student and their students' behavior. So that is just a brief overview of our data sheets. Remember, data collection should have started yesterday for your first in-person asynchronous lessons. If for some reason you didn't get it started yet, don't worry. Just start data collection as soon as possible. And remember, our data is more authentic if we're collecting it in the moment. So if you're having difficulty using these data sheets online throughout your lessons, ask us for some help. In the past, we've made paper sheets where you can just make tallies, or we've done some laminated sheets where you can use a dry erase marker. Whatever is going to work best for you to collect authentic data for your students, that's what we want our teams to be using. So thank you so much for tuning in today, and let me know if you have any questions. Happy data collecting. Bye.